right, what I'm going to talk about today is one of my favorite books ever. This book is 48 Laws of Power. I have the special edition. It cost me like $100. Who spends $100 on the book? Me. I also have I spent $400 on a book up there by Eugene Schwartz. But today, what I'm going to talk about is one particular law. I'm thinking about a woman. Her name is Troi. And Troi invited me, or she didn't invite me, but she shared a post. And I said, Troi, how can I support you? She sings. I said, how can I support you in your group? Because I know her through like other business ventures without attending. And I was very intentional about that. And she was like, I was like, how can I buy a ticket? And she said, it's free. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning that is because I want to talk about the importance. I want to talk around the substance of free. Free is not always good. Free can be a negative thing. And that's one of the more recent stories that I think about. So Troi, she is an entertainer, and she has a group with two other women, Carmen and I don't know the other woman's forename, but her name is Leash, is what they call her. There's Troi, Carmen, and Leash, and I do what I can to support them from a distance because I value my time. Now, I'm not saying that I don't value other people's time, but I am an entrepreneur and I'm a business owner, and I have to be conscious and intentional with my time. So I'm gonna read an excerpt from the book. I highly recommend the entire book. This book changed my life because for a long time I was unaware of the things within this book. So the law is Law 40. And that law, 48 Laws of Power, is despise the free lunch. Here's what it says. What is offered for free is dangerous. How could that be, right? It usually involves either a trick or a hidden obligation. What has worth is worth paying for. By paying your own way, you stay clear of gratitude, guilt, and deceit. It is also often wise to pay the full price. There is no cutting corners with excellence. Be lavish with your money and keep it circulating, for generosity is a sign and a magnet for power. And I love that quote. And just reading it just now, it makes me realize that I need to be a little more generous with my money. I'm not saying be wasteful, but we have to understand if we invest nothing, we get nothing. Now, why am I mentioning that? Because sometimes people believe that all people want is free. And I believe that is what Troi was thinking when she invited me to her performance. And innocently, she didn't know, like, I value my time a little bit more, right? So let's just say, for the sake of simplicity, let's say that my time is worth, which is worth more. I actually charge $7.47 per hour. That's why I create videos and content, because I hate to waste my time. But let's just say, for the simplicity of math, that my time is worth $100. Okay. My time is worth $100 for the sake of simplicity. Let's just say that. Now, if Troi invited me out to the event that's free, guess what happens? I'm paying $100 if I go spend an hour there. Okay. So for $100 for an hour, that's $100. Now, let's say that, which it is, it's going to take me time to travel. Let's say, for the sake of simplicity, let's say it's a half hour there and a half hour back. Right, so that's $50 per 30 minutes, which means if I spend 1 hour in travel, that's $200. Right? So we got $200. Now, already you could probably see that paying or going to attend this free event is actually not free. Our time is worth something. And entrepreneurs and business owners, agents, investors, we have to start realizing and operating with that idea that our time is worth something, right? This comes up a lot when I'm dealing with people that like to work with people that are buying houses, agents that represent people who want to buy a house. They will run around, they will let the buyers run them around in their car with their gas, etc., etc., not realizing that they're wasting time. And the general concept that I'm talking about today, it is not a literal loss of $100, but it is an idea and it is a concept. And I had a mentor, his name is Connor, and Connor would talk about phantom losses. So there are phantom losses, of course. Most people, oh no, I'm not actually taking money out of my pocket. But if you start thinking and operating this way, you will have a more efficient business and you will be more efficient with your time, especially when it comes to business. When it comes to family events, friends, and social things, maybe you can deviate a little bit. Maybe I don't recommend it, but you can think about things a little bit different. So if I decide to attend that event that I was talking about with Troi, that would cost me $100, $200. It would cost me $200 just to attend that free event. So I'm negative $200 in the hole just by attending a free event, right? That's not to calculate the cost. I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to people. It takes me energy. It takes me effort, right? It's not to calculate those costs. It's not to calculate when I get home, I'm going to have to reset and get back in the mood or the groove to want to do what I want to do. She invited me to a late event, right? I typically don't attend late night events. If I do, I'm like thrown off. And I got to reset probably like the next day. So free is not always good. Now, another thing, another example I want to show you with free is I encouraged a past client to have her book professionally narrated. I told her to get her book professionally narrated, and there was a little bit of hesitancy. We hesitate when it comes to paying professionals for services, but what we don't realize is the time we're wasting and the money that we're wasting. So we're going to stick with the same example, right? There was a woman, I'm going to pull up her post. I'm going to read it. Because it was a little smart, it was a little snarky, right? So currently starting the narration of my book. And just imagine some folks were telling me that learning logic wasn't a good use of my time, is what I assume she's trying to say. When you are an artist, a recording artist at that, this skill can take you farther than your wildest beliefs. Strongly disagree, right? So essentially, my understanding is Logic is a program that you can use to clean up your audio and you can do some fancy stuff, right? I told this woman, I instructed this woman, I recommended that this woman not record the book by herself with some caveats in there. We don't need to go into detail, but for the sake of this video of me talking, I asked her, I said, do some math. Make sure you track the amount of time you spend operating this software. And she said, great. I said, let me know how many hours you have to put into it, track it. She said, so far 30 hours. I've gotten to the introduction, but that's including a preface, a foreword, an introduction, everything else that led to chapter 1. So she tracking the hours. She told me 30 hours. And I asked her, try not to say the name because I don't want to expose this person. But I asked her, I said, listen, probably it's been a week later now. I didn't want to beat her up too much. I reached out and I said, what is your time worth? And she came up with a number. She said 90. I said, okay, excellent. Do you really believe that your time is worth $90? And she said, yes, 90. No, she came back and she said $150. I said, do you really believe your time is worth $150? She said, yes. She can stand on that. So I said, excellent. Now that means if you spent 30 hours learning this program, guess how much you spent when you could have just paid a professional to do it? You spent $4,500 trying to get a recording done for your book, and it's not done yet. Whereas you could have paid a professional probably 25% of that and got it done, and nothing you have to worry about. This is how we have to think as entrepreneurs and business owners. Normal people might want to do certain things for free and blah, blah, blah. But us as professionals, we should start thinking about and quantifying the value of our time. Is this really worth it? So I did some math for her and I said, let's do, we did some math and we did 150 times 30. She put 30 hours in, that was $4,500. Then I halved it. I didn't half it. I took her other number, which she said $90, and I did that times 30. $90 times 30 is $2,700. That's how much she's spending on this narration, and it's not finished yet. Still not finished yet. Then I took it down even further, and I did the average minimum wage, which is $15 per hour. $15 times 30 is $450. Get this, we're still not finished the narration, okay? And then I went all the way down to minimum wage, which is $7.25 nationally here in the US. And it gave us the price of about $220. So free, right? She's investing her time. Free is not always good. She could have paid a professional $300 or $400, had the project done and out to the market, already making her money and doing things for her. So I wanted to share that free is not always good. It depends. And people hate to hear that it depends answer, but it really does depend. What is your time worth? Should you invest your time? Is there another reason why you're doing this? Are you doing this for production? Are you doing this to make money? Should you pay a professional and in the meantime, you work on something more intimate and something more personal? So free is not always good. And I wanted to talk about that. I thought about the book that I started off with, 48 Laws of Power, and he says, Despise the Free Lunch. So generally, back to Troi, the story I was telling a little bit earlier, I said, Troi, how can I pay for tickets? I'll support you financially, but I'm not attending because it takes too much of my time and my time is too valuable for me to spend in that capacity and get no return on the investment that I'm making. Okay. So I just wanted to share that. And I want you as an entrepreneur, I want you to think about that overall, right? I want you to really, really think about that. Free is not always good. Sometimes it's worth just paying and getting it over with.
Jerome Lewis. Partner Jerome Lewis.
Jerome Lewis.
Jerome Lewis.
Jerome Lewis.
Jerome Lewis.
Jerome Lewis.
Jerome Lewis. This is a book from Jerome Lewis. This is a book that on its page, it really caught my eye. It was The Insider Secrets of Successful Advertising, Lead Generation, and Marketing Implementation for Real Estate Entrepreneurs. So this book, I can't wait to read and very excited to touch base on and how to get a little bit more people to recognize the business and the services that I offer personally, and then trying to progress that forward.
He is somebody who is an implementer. He knows how to get results. He has a track record of helping people get results.
Anyone's looking for a marketing expert. He is so knowledgeable. He has introduced me to some very practical, useful tools, and just the way that I can use them for it to flow in my business has been tremendous.
If you're stuck in your business on implementation, which tool to use, look no further. Jerome, thank you so much for helping me launch my virtual summit. I'm so excited that you are part of that as well.
But this is where you place your ad. So remember I kept talking about, like, why would you just do TikTok when all you got to do is hit the checkbox on Facebook? Well, this is where you do that inside the ad placement. So all you do is check that box and all your stuff is over on Instagram.
I'm eternally grateful for the opportunities that has risen out of our partnership. Yesterday, I taught my very first class in EXP World, and I was so nervous to do it. I honestly struggled with even believing in myself that I could do it, but when it was all said and done, everyone loved the class, and Jerome believed in me the entire time.
He's always been very helpful to me. He's actually been very helpful to a lot of my clients. I turn to him for a lot of advice, and we have worked together on and off.
Can't tell by now, I'm very serious. I'm an implementer. I'm like, dude, let's get stuff done. So you go to her class and you come get the content, then you come to my class, which is, it used to be just the social media mastermind.
Partner Jerome Lewis and my friend, he really helped me out with this. And, I can't really even write a sentence sometimes, but he somehow got me to do this, right? He got me to do this, right?